Dozens of the world's largest cannabis companies and several prominent organizations have joined forces to end cannabis prohibition.
On February 8th, 2021, the United States Cannabis Council launched, with Grasslands as its agency of record and strategic communications partner, and me, Julie Dietl, as the lead senior publicist. With veteran civil rights leader Stephen Hawkins at its helm, the organization's goals are simple: to end federal cannabis prohibition and to create an equitable, values-driven cannabis industry with social, financial, and environmental benefits shared by all. As an Indigenous-owned agency, Grasslands firmly supports these goals. After developing foundational messaging and a robust national launch strategy, Grasslands focused on driving USCC's primary narratives to the organization's most urgent stakeholders. Using our signature proactive storytelling tactics, we leveraged a busy news cycle to connect USCC's mission to the hypocrisy of the Biden firings, the unprecedented industry challenge of Delta-8 THC, and the Olympics' abhorrent suspension of Sha'Carri Richardson.
The U.S. Olympic track star Sha'Carri Richardson suspended for a month after testing positive for marijuana.
The World Anti-Doping Authority, the U.S. Anti-Doping Authority, their view on cannabis is moralistic, it's anachronistic, and it needs to change.
This earned momentum was the fuel behind Grasslands' strategy, driving repeat interview requests, op-ed opportunities, and live hits that engendered real trust and familiarity between Mr. Hawkins and top-tier media, and between USCC and its potential members in the U.S. cannabis industry.
What they need is to be able to get business loans from banks and to be able to engage in the opportunity to grow their businesses in an industry that is going to do $24 billion in revenue this year.
Just 3 months after its launch, USCC had become the go-to source for reporters covering cannabis reform. Grasslands' focus on the Beltway media core was steady and unrelenting. Grasslands leveraged the early momentum to position USCC as the most qualified voice to discuss the meaningful federal legislation ahead. As the SAFE Banking Act moved from the House to the Senate, and later on as Senators Schumer, Booker, and Wyden introduced the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, reporters covering the Hill turned to USCC to capture the industry's perspective.
The SAFE Banking Act cleared the House yesterday, huge bipartisan support. The legalization of cannabis will create jobs.
Only 5 months after the organization's launch, USCC had become the go-to source for media, serving each of the council's target audiences, including the DC Press Corps, national reporters, and trade publications.
It is about the future. And the future in a state that has legalized cannabis is that no one is going to be subject to criminal prosecution.
And while cannabis remains federally illegal, USCC is committed to changing that, and Grasslands will continue positioning the organization at the forefront of the national legalization conversation.